From the University of Southern California Institute of Armenian Studies, this is Language Therapy with Dr. K, a podcast about language in the Armenian context. Join your host, Deputy Director Dr. Shushan Karapetian.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Language Therapy with Dr. K. My guest today is Shavo Odadjian, the bassist, backing vocalist, and occasional songwriter of heavy metal band System of a Down. You know, the Grammy Award-winning band that has sold over 40 million records worldwide and revolutionized heavy metal music. In this interview, you'll get a chance to see a different, more nuanced and vulnerable side of the musician. The immigrant child, the rebellious and driven adolescent, the up-and-coming rock star, the husband, the son, and the adoring and devoted father, all through the prism of language. Why, you ask? Because Shavo had a very rich and unique cultural upbringing, with less than ordinary language dynamics. He grew up in a family where mom spoke Eastern Armenian, dad spoke Western Armenian, and music of all kinds, all genres, in different languages was present and appreciated. Fast forward several decades, he's a world-renowned musician, married to a woman of Persian Armenian descent with 3 beautiful children, all of whom attend Armenian school, by the way, and a nanny who only speaks Armenian. Imagine how much fun we had untangling all those threads. So, in addition to discussing the Armenian heritage that has shaped System of a Down's artistic legacy and DNA, we unpacked the delightful and quirky language dynamics in his life, both personal and professional. Everything from the band members using Armenian as a secret code, they call it going underwater, by the way, to Shavo's favorite Armenian word, which happens to be, are you ready? Iya. It's a Hayastansi parent's way of communicating a combination of what plus really and indicating disappointment and upcoming scolding, obviously combined with a matching hand gesture. So this is a conversation that uses language as an anchor to talk about immigration, adaptability, perseverance, drive, creativity, legacy, parenting, and life. Shavo Odadjian, welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with early life, early childhood. Where were you born?
I was born in Yerevan, Armenia.
What year?
1974.
1974.
April 22nd.
April 22nd. And where are your...
I even have the time in the day.
Tell me.
I heard it was a Tuesday at like 4 or 5 in the morning. Yeah.
And where are your parents from?
My mom is from Armenia, Yerevan. Her parents are also, but they also have Greek heritage. My dad is born in Cyprus.
But your dad's family, they repatriated. So both sides of your parents' families repatriated to Armenia.
Yes.
So 2 children of repatriate families got married in Armenia.
Yes. Imagine if one thing had gone wrong, I wouldn't be here. Can
you describe what the language dynamics look like and sounded like in your early childhood?
So my parents were the Eastern Armenian and Western Armenian. My mom was Eastern dialect. My dad was Western dialect. But he eventually, because he lived in Armenia, he would use Eastern dialect because main Armenia, Yerevan, they speak Eastern dialect.
But so you grew up with exposure to both.
Both.
And it was natural for you.
It was natural. There was no, I'm hearing both. There was no, I didn't know there was a difference. I just spoke both. But it was just, for some reason, I mean, I don't know if it's personal, if I'm that way, but I just adapted. It was just, that's part of me. I've been adapting ever since. I still adapt till today. Look what we've adapted to with the COVID, right? I had no idea there was an East, there was a West. I just knew that there was my mom and my dad, and they spoke like this, so I spoke a certain way.
And did you associate a particular dialect with a particular person? Like when I speak with mom, I speak, I say galisem. When I speak with dad, I say kukam. Kukam, yeah.
But I do that now. I don't remember if I did that back then because I think I just spoke.
Right. But when mom and dad speak, dad speaks Western, mom speaks Eastern?
Mom always speaks Eastern. Dad flip-flops.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Got
I
it.
flip-flop myself, but like recently I've been doing my dad's impersonation just out of nowhere. It just comes out, and it's very Western.
Can you do it? Give me
Later
a
on,
line or
later
two
on,
when it
yeah.
comes. Okay.
Oh. He's very loud. The reason why I get loud is because he's loud. In order to be heard in the house, you have to speak loudly. Now, the big argument with my wife every day is I'm yelling at her, but I'm not yelling at her. I'm just being Armenian. And I speak in caps.
Right.
So, yeah, that's where it was. But I just became both kind of. It's in me. So, also, here's the thing. So, when we moved to finally Hollywood, I grew up in Hollywood. And that was my final destination. And I went to a private Armenian school starting in first grade. And it was all Western dialect in the Armenian school I went to. Nowadays, like my kids, they go to Armenian school as well, and we'll talk about that.
Yes.
But you get to choose if they learn Eastern or Western, and they get split up there. That didn't exist in my days. So I was all Western. I don't even know some of the Eastern stuff they're learning, like the alphabet. I just know Apagada, and it stops right there. But I know I Pekim all the way through, right? So I do know the Western way of saying the alphabet, and I don't know the Eastern way because I was taught that in school. But in school, I had a few friends that were Eastern, and we would speak Eastern Armenian to each other. But then if I was speaking in class, it would be Western.
Got it.
With an Eastern twist. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. So before we get to your life in school, which I'm curious about, your parents are immigrants. They've gone through multiple stops. I'm sure kind of harrowing experiences, difficulties. They're in Hollywood. I assume they're not financially secure.
Zero.
And yet they send you to an Armenian private school.
How crazy is that? That's been a staple of like things I speak of in other podcasts, which have nothing to do with language, just to show what people went through back then to give us, to help us keep our culture. That's what they did. And it's at the time, I didn't understand it. I was like, why are you doing this? All my friends on my street go to that public school. My parents were like, nope, you're going here. And I said, okay. And I did. I made really great friends that I still have today. There's a few friends that I have from first grade that I still talk to every day, every other day, birthdays, whatever.
What was their decision making? Have you talked to them?
It was because they were afraid. They had heard things about public schools in LA, in America. And, I grew up in really the big gang MS started on my street at the time we were there in the early 80s.
In hindsight, what did that experience give you? And I mean, obviously language, but besides language, how do you assess the value of that education?
I mean, I still know how to read and write Armenian. So.
And is that important?
Very, to me, personally. Back then, I thought there was no importance in it. I was like, why are you teaching me something I'm never going to use? But I'm a 47-year-old man that can speak, read, write Armenian, which is a lot more than I could say for the other 47-year-old friends I have, who haven't gone to Armenian school. And look, my kids now go, and I can set examples for them. I can't just force them to do something I haven't done. I could say, dude, I did it. Look, I could read with you. I could do homework with them. My kids go to Armenian school. I sit there. They have a hard time sometimes with Armenian class, and I go and I read with them, and they look up to me like I'm a teacher. They listen to me. Imagine if they were showing me and they were reading, and I was like, well, I don't know what's going on over there. You should ask your teacher. That right there, I wouldn't be helpful to my kids, and I want to always be there for them for anything like. But it's also good to know people. Like I could speak fluent Armenian with you if I felt like it. I could write it.
I'm smiling because my first tutoring job ever was this Iranian Armenian man who hired me to teach him how to read and write, precisely because he had decided his kids should go to Armenian school. And the kids had called him out and said, if you don't know how to read and write,
why should I know?
Why should I know?
Exactly. There it is.
And we used to do our lessons in the living room so his kids could see
that he's putting in the effort.
That he's putting in the effort.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I also like the speaking of it, like being able to fluently rip someone in half in Armenian if I felt like it. The reason why I say that is because I've been told certain things. Like when I visited Armenia for the first time, people thought I was an Armenian, and they talked shit about me next to me, and I was able to respond with a full-on Armenian vibe where they were shocked and they apologized and was like backed off, and I was. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, hi, Vichaka, I heard that one time, and it was like, what? Like, look at you. Maybe you should adapt a little bit more, So
Absolutely.
Now they love it, of course, but this was back in the day. So, yeah, very important.
What were the language dynamics at home here in Hollywood in the early years? Was there like we only speak Armenian at home? What about music? What kind of music were you exposed to as a child?
Everything. My mom had old Beatles records in Russian print, Boney M, Afrik Simon, all these like European stars. I had an eclectic taste in music because of what I was exposed to. And then had all the Armenian music, the Greek music, a lot of Greek music. They listened to a lot of that, a lot of Armenian wedding music that is now wedding music.
Kef time.
Yeah. Before it was cultural stuff. Now it's like wedding. That's something I've done with my kids. From birth, they've listened to music. They know bands. They know music. They're not like clueless to it. They know history as well. I teach them everything. You know? Yeah.
And then how did your fascination with rock music and the kind of culture of that music as well come about?
Weird. I could say Hollywood made that happen. I remember the first memory I have of driving on Sunset, there was a mural of Kiss on one of the walls. And I didn't know what Kiss was, band or whatever it was, but there was these dudes with makeup. And I thought it was cool. You know, I'm a 5-year-old kid that thinks that that's really cool. And then I caught them on Solid Gold. It was a show in the early 80s, late 70s, I guess, in LA. Solid Gold. It was like a top 40 show. But artists would perform, and Kiss performed. And it was like the mural is now live. And there was no like YouTube or like music channels and all that stuff. So it was on like a regular network, you know? And I see the mural now come to life in front of me, and they're playing music, and I was like, "Oh, they're a band!" Like so where you can put makeup on and sing songs and perform. That was like this whole revelation where, wow, like this is something that people do, you know. And that was it. I was like kind of taken by that. I don't know when. I asked to play guitar I wanted a guitar from the longest time and my parents wouldn't buy it for me.
Why? What was their reasoning?
Oh, the whole starving artist thing, you know. Oh, if he learns this, he won't go to school. He won't be the lawyer or doctor that we all want him to be.
That was the expectation.
That was the expectation. It's the old school mentality of like go
traditional,
to school, get a job, be a lawyer or a doctor, and that's it.
But what was the family's reaction to this like artist's persona that was developing?
They wouldn't give me the guitar and stuff, and then my grandma, my dad's mother, snuck one in for me and then got me something. I was like 13, got me a Kramer XL from. I actually helped. We went to Guitar Center and got me a Kramer. And then I bought the amp from Recycler. Remember the old, it was like the old Craigslist was called Recycler. It was actual newspaper. And
but I'm trying to imagine this conversation of what 13-year-old Shavo going like Tati gitare muzum, right? Like how does this?
They already knew. I would perform. I would dance and sing and stuff. I always wanted to push one direction, and everyone said no, except my grandma. And just, thank God, God rest her soul, she did that for me.
Grandparents are such treasures.
He wants it, get it for him. This is good for a kid, you know? Like, if they're into something, feed it. Like, right now, I wait for my kids to, like, be interested in something. I'll give it all to them and have them see what they can do, you know?
But so there's this expectation of going to college, picking this very traditional, kind of standard track job, and you're kind of going off that track. Mm-hmm. Was there tension between your parents and yourself, and how did that resolve? How open were you about communicating?
It resolved after I
made
some money. After they saw a big check coming, like, oh shit, maybe there's something to this. That's what they did. Until then, I swear, like, I was growing my beard even. I'm an older guy.
Can we talk about the beard?
20s.
Let's talk about the beard.
I'm in my 20s and I'm growing my beard, and my mom always, I'm going to cut that off when you're sleeping. I would have nightmares, you know? Then I became recognized for it. Now she backs it. Now she's like, well, that's his thing, you know? It's just my son's thing, you know? Now
I want to ask about System of a Down, and was it accidental that all 4 band members happened to be Armenian?
Completely accidental.
Okay.
I'm being honest with that.
No, yeah.
It was just we were all at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
It was that. Less than a year in, me playing bass in another band, and I met these guys. Not met, but I linked with these guys, and I managed. I got him a couple of gigs. I got him some notoriety. Before you know it, the bass player leaves, the drummer leaves, and I get the call. They asked me, they said, why don't you play bass for us? You know, Darren's a great guitar player. We had Serge. And we had to look for a drummer, and we looked for a drummer, and we were about to have Rick Rubin, who ended up being our producer, showing up to a show to check us out. It was like the biggest show we were ever going to play, and this guy's arm is broken, so we had a replacement, John, and the rest is history.
And he happened to be Armenian as well.
It just happened that way. circumstances, you know?
You mentioned Rick Rubin. I want to quote something he said because I want to ask about the Armenian elements in the music. So he said when he heard you guys for the first time, it was unlike anything he had heard. He said it was like Armenian folk dancing with heavy metal riffs. And he talked about how you guys were a heavy metal band that didn't follow the rules.
Oh, heavy metal, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course not, yeah.
He said there was rhythm, gallops that were rooted in Armenian heritage in folk music. And what was so special is you guys didn't fit. You transcended not fitting. You made not fitting cool.
Cool, kind of, yeah.
But were you aware of your... Yeah?
Yeah.
And no, were you aware of, like, that there's this Armenian element? Was it the Armenianness that gave you guys the edge? What was it?
Good question. That was one of the facets that made us different. Was that we were all Armenian and we had heard and listened to Armenian music our whole lives. Not just Armenian.
All kinds of, yeah.
Greek and all that Russian and all that stuff that we were all heard not willingly, unwillingly, I should say.
Right.
It was just there within our families, you know, and also our vast taste in music. But yeah, I think that's what it was. And then we kind of threw in the Armenian. Darren had a lot to do with the formation of the sound because he just brought this vibe in, which I was like, I got this. Like, I love that vibe, and kind of adapted and became that vibe. Now I play that. It's in my DNA with the new band, North Kingsley. If when I play, you can hear system DNA. There is that in there. It sets us off. Still, it's in my DNA to be different. So whether it be the Armenian heritage or just the fascination of coming up with new things and the artistry of it, I think it's also...
And the exposure to the diversity that you all had. Because by nature, being Armenian means being diverse.
Yeah, it's just different.
Here's a question that I think a lot of people may have wondered about or not realized they wondered about. You're rehearsing with System of a Down, or you're performing. Backstage, what are the language dynamics like, or even on stage? How do you manage your languages? Is Armenian ever used? And if it is,
it's used a lot. People always like, the non-Armenians always like, oh, there they go. They gotta, there they go. Like, we'll be in a band meeting and there's like the managers that are non-Armenian and the, you know, the lawyers and the whatever, the label back in the day. And there might be like something brought up that we need to like talk, and we call it going underwater because then you can speak Armenian, no one gets it.
It's
like,
your code language. It's a secret language,
like,
yeah.
Like Darren, you know, is this going to happen? But then in Armenian, it's like, I don't like that you're saying this right now about this. This is a disagreement on the band vibe, you know. But you say that in Armenian, and everyone's like, okay, here, this is what they do. They just go into their, and I was like going underwater and talking, you know. No one can hear what you're saying. And it's funny.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we'd call it going underwater.
Okay, so
it would happen all the time.
The other question I had is when you guys were first starting out, and you know you had to convince people to give you stages to perform on, fill the room. Mm-hmm. Did you tap into the Armenian network?
It started that way. Yeah. What it was is we were playing. We had rehearsal studios and stuff, and once we were ready to play shows, I would make calls to the Whiskey, the Roxy, the Troubadour, and the Dragonfly, and all these clubs in LA that I pulled up their numbers from, like...
the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, just like that. There wasn't even, like, Yelp or nothing, you know? It was like, it was all like, I had to call 411, get a number, or look in books, you know, big Yellow Pages, and find out. And then get hung up on many times because So there's a catch-22 that goes with being in a rock band or being in a band in LA back in the early 90s. It was that you needed to have a demo so you could play your demo to the club bookers, and then they would fit you in a place with other bands that sound similar, right? Well, we're still down, right? So no one really sounds like us. We didn't have a demo. We had no money to make a demo. All our money would go into the rehearsal studio, or all our parents, none of us were privileged. None of us. We all had to just grind it out. So we don't have a demo, but we want to play shows to make money. So you can't play shows to make money because you can't have a demo, which needs money, right? So I would call everyone. I would call these places, tell them what our sound was. They're like, yeah, but we need a demo, bro. If you don't have one, bye. Hang up. A lot of hang-ups. I kept calling. Persistence, consistent. Boom, boom, boom. At some point, one of the guys goes, okay. And that guy goes, man, I'm sick of hearing you. Every day I would call him, and this is you again. Yeah, it's me again. Do you have a demo? No, but I'm still going to call you until you give me a show. He gave me a number to a booker, and I called him up. He's like, how many tickets can you sell? I don't know, 50, 60, 70. He gave me 75 tickets. We sold it within a week. I wanted more tickets. He goes, what do you mean you want more tickets? 75 is a lot of tickets in LA, at the time. So we sold another 75. We sold like 150 tickets to all our friends and friends' friends. Now we're having a show coming up. And so the show was a Saturday, or it was Mai Ksanut. It was May 28th, 1995. I did it especially on that day because it was Armenian Independence Day at the time. And so we did a show, and they booked us. It was 7 bands. We were like the 4th, right in the middle. But they didn't know what we sounded like, so they just put us in these ska bands. Ska is like it's kind of like a white boy reggae. That's what it is. And so they were playing. They had like 50 people in the crowd, 40 people, the first 3 bands. System of a Down goes on. And we had this big thing we made, banner that said 1.5 million Armenians massacred. We walked up like that with an intro. Like, we came in deep, like talking really big. Like, we're talking deep. We're not just this band that wants to play 4 songs for you and walk off because we were given 20 minutes. But those 20 minutes, we brought in 150 to 200 people. They went crazy. We went crazy. We ended. They left. So it was like the club went from 30 to 40 people to 200 people to 30 or 40 people again. Everyone's like, whoa.
What
something
happened?
just happened at the Roxy. Well, I don't know what that was, who that was, what were they called? That was the beginning right there. And after that, Brian Markovich came and said, hey, you want to do another show? I'm like, yes, we'll sell again. We sold like 200 tickets. After that, we were asked to sell tickets. After that, it was like game on. Anytime they wanted us to play, we brought those people in without selling tickets. And it was mostly our Armenian friends, and all our friends from Glendale and Hollywood, and who had friends. And it wasn't just Armenian, but there were a lot of Armenians because, we had a lot of Armenian people. We come from Armenian heritage. Our cousins and everybody we're all there. They just came to support because there wasn't an Armenian band that did what we did before us.
What was the community's reaction to your music?
It was impressive. People loved it,
Even if they didn't get it.
They were just like, these guys are doing something that is like, wow, I'm proud. There's never been a rock band that plays, that they're all Armenian, and look, they're killing it. There's something different about them. And so that was what brought people back. And we just kept it going, even through the hardest times.
Yeah.
We're still keeping it going. We all have, we haven't made a record, but we're still together. We still do things, and we still play shows, and we do whatever we can, that we can do as a unit,
I want to ask about 2015 and playing in Armenia. What did it feel like to be System of a Down in Armenia?
Yeah, it's a big question. That's a big... we cried, all of us, before we walked on stage, and there's a video of it. Someone was filming, and I saw it. We got together, and we had our heads down, and the management we asked everyone to leave, and I remember the little pep talk we had. We were at a hotel across the street from the Haraparak, I think it was where we were staying.
Yeah. At the Marriott on
yeah. And they shuttled us to the stage, but prior to the shuttle, we had a huddle, and can you believe what, it was like emotional. It was the most emotional moment I think we've ever had as a unit. I cried on stage many times. You can probably see it in the videos because I want to cry now because it's just it's overwhelming emotion of seeing. I remember Haraparak when I was in Armenia, but I was 4 years old, so I just remember the classical music to the water thing, the fixture, like at the Americana.
Yeah.
That they had this whole thing going, and it was always classical music. They were playing System of a Down to that. That's huge. Because I remember that, and I remember classical. Now they're doing system songs to the water fountain, like crazy, right? Anyway, so just being there, knowing what we were about to do. It was the eve of the genocide, and I remember our intro was gonna be all the churches rang tolled their bells 100 times, which is a 100-year anniversary of the genocide. Crazy. So we're walking up to that, like these bells in the whole city, country. We're hearing bells go at the same time. So it was a little off. So it was like dum, 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 dum. It was like this, and we were walking on stage. It was like the whole city with the intro wasn't our set that we were a CD we gave, play this, which is everywhere else. Play this intro, we'll walk up to that. It was like the whole country was kind of introing our stage our performance. It was nuts. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, really, words do not. I can't choose the right words to like express that emotion that we felt walking up and playing.
What did it feel like to be in Armenia and interact with locals? Whether it was like the behind the scenes organizing the concert or just like locals seeing you guys, how would they approach you?
That trip was crazy. I wasn't able to do much. It was bombarded everywhere.
Yeah.
I tried to walk on the street and it was like the Beatles.
Yeah.
Being, the movie you've seen, The Help, where they're running around, the girls are running after them. It was like that. It straight up was that. Like, it was in a bigger level, like a larger level than the Beatles movie, because it was in a country where we're like the only Armenians in the world that do that. It's kind of crazy, right? There's 4 and that's it. And until today, there's others that do it, but never at that level. So it was kind of, I couldn't really see the country well unless we went to like, further out, where
outside of Yerevan, yeah.
But Yerevan was tough for me to see. But I went in 2011 or 2010. And that's when that whole Hayevichak thing happened.
Okay, tell me about that trip.
It was just like we were walking, and then I saw these like drunk Armos that were just like, like, what is this? Like, look at this guy, there's a beard. This doesn't look like an Armenian. He must be Kovichak. And I spoke back, and they were apologetic, but it was still, they were talking shit, and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't just let it go.
Yeah.
So I came at them, and they were, hey man, I'm glad there was no fight, because it could have very well gone the other way. But it was more about that, and
was it strange or refreshing or interesting that everyone spoke Armenian, that everyone is Armenian, that Armenian is everywhere?
No, that's great. Yeah, that was. I felt that the first time.
Yeah,
and that's a great feeling. Yeah, it's amazing. It's different.
How did you guys decide to get back together during the war?
It was that.
Did they
it
just
was that
organically?
Armenian thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
What happened was, when it started happening, Johnny made a text to the group saying, "Yeah, we got to do something. Like, let's back up, swallow what we've been through, and there's something bigger than us right now going on." So I was like, freaking number one. I was like excited. Yes, like I've been saying this for 15 years now. Like it's always bigger than us. Everything is bigger than us. And Darren's like, I have a song that can really work. And we had gotten together a few years back and kind of jammed and written some stuff that we have. We still have we have like 10 songs that we jammed on, Darren and I and John, that we are sitting on maybe one day. And we took a song from there. It was heavy, and we took the lighter one that Darren had only written by himself, and we went in. It was like a week. It was in less than a few days. We're in a studio all of a sudden, looking at each other. Like, it's crazy. I was like, and I was on cloud 9. We did it. So it was just like, it was a joy to play like that with System. So it was that. It was the fact that we are who we are, and if we don't, who's going to? And it's a shame on us if we don't do something,
But this is something that I've been meaning to ask, that I think is so definitive and defining of System of a Down, is you have a voice, literal and metaphorical, and a platform. And I feel like there's this System of a Down legacy in instrumentalizing that voice and that platform, and not necessarily just for the Armenian causes.
No, it shouldn't be only Armenian, because we're not just that. We're not born to do that. Yes, that's a big part of us, so we speak of it, and we, but no, we're a lot more than just that. I know it's important to say I'm Armenian and I'm proud. Yes, I am. But I'm also a human, and there's a lot of things that I think are important in this world, not just being Armenian and talking about the Armenian cause. The Armenian cause is a cause, and we're backing it, but there's many causes, and I think we should be speaking of all of them if we believe in them,
Absolutely.
And the art side of it is my favorite side. I mean, there's the politics and all that stuff, fine, but me is like the art side. I want to create shit that people go, oh man, whose brain did that come out of? I love that. I love people admiring that.
And it just happens to be that it's an Armenian brain that's coming up with that.
It's really cool. Like, I'll write something, I'll be like all alone. I'll be like, this is, because I already know the reaction that's going to come from that, so it's a great feeling.
The excitement.
Yeah. It still exists.
Okay, I have one final set of questions, and then I'm going to let you go. Right now, You're 47. You have 3 children. You're married. What are the language dynamics in your household? If we were to walk in on an afternoon, what would we hear in your house?
Everything. You would hear English, Armenian, both. My daughter, she's 3.5. She started speaking Armenian before English because of our nanny, the famous Anahit.
Who's from Armenia.
Major props to her, yeah.
Speaks Eastern Armenian.
Yeah, she helped raise all my kids. We needed a nanny because my first boy, Shavo, when he was born 2 weeks later, I went on a world tour. 2 weeks. So it's like, and we had just moved. So we have a new house, new baby. Wife Sonia doesn't, she's never been a mom before, so she's doing everything she can, but we needed a nanny. We needed someone to help out the baby, and I was going to be gone. Of course my mom helped a lot, but like how much can one woman do? So yeah, and we got Anna. So it was kind of a luck of the draw, I guess.
And she speaks only Armenian with the kids?
Only Armenian. So what I was saying is my daughter learned like that. So when she started picking up English, she was like speaking like a phober, like fresh off the boat. She's like, hello, like... What are you doing? I'm like, oh no, my 3-year-old daughter speaks with an accent. So I guess we all do at this point. But people say I still have an accent. So yeah, but now she's going to, but she's 3.5. She's going to Tufenkian. She's going to Armenian preschool. It's just tradition for us. It's that,
So you and your wife, what languages do you use?
Both.
English, Armenian?
Yeah. For sure, both. We speak a lot of Armenian, but we also speak a lot. See, my wife came from a family that spoke a lot of English, mostly English, even though they're all Armenian. And their grandma used to say, speak more Armenian, but they would speak more English. They're Orange County. And with me now, but I'm so happy because I guess her grandpa taught them Armenian to write and stuff, to like kind of go through it, so she could read and write herself. Like she sees it, she could do it. She's just not fluent in it. She never went to school, but they had like Armenian lessons because it was important to their family too that the kids kept their Armenian hood. I should say the Armenian hood. And so we speak a lot of Armenian, but we.
It's a mix.
Yeah, it's a mix.
Like for all of us,
it has to be,
And what about you with your parents?
Both. Most speak Armenian.
Yeah.
There's no... I think it's both.
And you and your wife with your kids?
Both. I think I speak more Armenian with the kids. Sometimes I try when I'm being serious with them. Like the second it gets to me like being, hey, and I speak in Armenian, they know it's like something serious. It's like when in English they go, John, Andrew, Smith, they use the middle name. I think it's me going, hike, interest on them, and then when the Armenian comes in, boom, it's like, hey.
Okay, we got to pay attention
something's
here.
Something's going on. He's speaking Armenian. But of course, since the nanny's there all the time, still like I can't get like I don't want her to go. Like the kids are grown, but I kind of like her around. I still want her around. I don't want her to leave. So I still speak Armenian when she's around, and and it's funny to hear the kids to speak when they're speaking with her straight Armenian.
Because there's no other option.
There's no other option, so it keeps them fluent in it too. It's funny how they just go into it, and then it's like I can tell they're word by word. They're not, because they need to be out of Elahayadan as well.
Right,
so
Eastern Armenian,
Armenian, so they start thinking of the words. And it's so cute to see their brains work, like adapt. And I think it's great for kids to be bilingual or trilingual. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's such a brain thing. It keeps them thinking, and I think, we all know the brain is a muscle, and you need to make it move or else it gets cold. It just, and it's just all from it doing. It's doing things. And I think it's great to have that in there, and I know they'll probably learn. They're also doing a little Spanish and stuff, and my kid the 3-year-old watches the YouTube, and as they all have, which we try to monitor, of course, and never let them like go with your iPad and stay there. But they watch videos in other languages, like other languages that we don't, and they're like speaking sometimes like in Spanish. I'm like, where'd you learn that from?
We take for granted like the tolerance kids have for ambiguity and how comfortable they are.
Yeah.
It's okay. They're born into a world where they know nothing.
So they can learn anything.
Exactly.
You give them anything.
They're open to everything. So this like
sponges.
Eastern, Western, we make it such a big deal, but
It
it's
shouldn't
like
be.
it just
and
is.
So they're in the Eastern Armenian dialect classes. Well, I'm kind of like, maybe you should go Western, and my wife's like, no, keep them in the Eastern. I'm like, I don't know. I just because maybe I've been schooled in Western, even though at home I speak Eastern.
Right. So you have this kind of Western as
I
the.
find it like the main, like the root, not the gores and stuff, like not those, not the dialect, but like the alphabet is mostly my thing. Like I don't know Abagada, I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I know I Kim Tayatsa, I know that.
My rule is this: whatever variant of Armenian you're using, learning, studying, learn it well.
Learn it well. Yeah.
And then you're going to pick up the other one. They're the same. They're the same language.
They are, but then
all
the
you
people
need is exposure.
Like Sonia doesn't understand sometimes my father. Because she's very Eastern because of the Persian Armenian.
And
so now I have that in me too. So there's the Persian. I can speak the Persian dialect. I can speak the Armenian, Eastern and Western. I'm all over the place.
But it makes you the richer for it.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yes.
Adaptable. This is the word of this. This is the word.
This podcast is named
the Adaptable Podcast.
The Adaptables. So
are there particular environments or situations where you relish using Armenian, where only Armenian makes sense? Can you think of like a situation or an environment?
What a question to end with.
Yeah. Or a particular word or phrase where nothing else will do.
If I'm with the family, I think that's what it is. Like when I'm with, let's say I'm at a gathering and it's mostly Armenians, I like to flaunt the fact that I can speak it, and I do it, and I surprise a lot of people. Also in Armenia, for example, speaking Armenian to people, or I go to Armenian spots in LA, and I speak Armenian, and they don't expect that. And it's like instead of saying hello, I say Barav, and they're like, oh, okay, you see the beard, they see the bald head, it's not normal. Then they put two and two, and they might recognize me because of that, you know?
Yeah.
But in Armenian situations, I like to full blast Armenian. Like, you know, if I'm at gatherings, restaurants, stores, if there's an Armenian, I like to start with Armenian.
Yeah.
And let them know, like, if I meet an Armenian for something else, the introduction is not, I don't say hello, nice to meet you. I say Barav Lavek. Urachem, you say that.
Yeah.
And then that kind of sets off this, like, okay, there's something there. There's a connection. So I think I don't know of anywhere else that I can right now pinpoint that's like, I like to speak Armenian. I think it's when I see another Armenian and I like to let them know that I'm also Armenian. I'll throw it out there. And then where it goes from there is kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you have particular words or phrases that are like favorites or...
This comes from my mom, is eh.
Yeah. Oh, this is so funny you said that because
wife hates that.
It's Armenian mom lingo.
Yeah,
and my brothers and I talk about this all the time. How do you translate eh?
You don't.
Right.
That's like what?
And it's like no,
really?
it's like what? Really? Disappointment, punishment to come?
Yeah. That's right,
like we will talk about this
that's what that
at
is,
some point. And it comes with the gesture,
hand,
with the
There's
thumb and the index
It's not
finger.
just words. Yeah, it's a whole gesture. You're right. So and I guess Sonia hasn't had that in her
upbringing.
And whenever I do it and it's between us, like if we're having an argument, I'm like, eh. She'll be like, eh. I'm like, what are you? And all of a sudden she's like making fun of me on the side, like under her, breath. She's like, eh. I'm like, eh, what? You don't like that? Oh, so you don't like what my mom says? I throw that in there. She's like, oh, no. Like,
it's such a Hayastan mom
it
thing.
It's
very specific to
Arnold
Hayastan mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
so
that's amazing.
I think that's the key.
Do you cuss in Armenian?
No.
Can you cuss in Armenian?
I don't think so. I mean, of course, I know all the words.
How would you
But
feel?
it's okay.
Yeah.
Here's one thing. Armenians have deep cuss words, and they're very, like, I'm trying to think of the word.
It's honored.
It's honored. Like, how do you say it? Heavy. It's, like
full of
deep,
gravity. Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah.
Like, the words don't come out right.
Seven layered.
Even words for, like, sexual things don't sound right to me. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm... Okay, there's one cussing somebody out. There's like deep, like they'll cuss out like the doctor that gave birth, like helped give the doctor. There's a cuss word where they cuss that guy out or that girl out. It's like fuck him.
Yeah.
For bringing you to earth.
Life,
That's deep, dude. That doesn't come,
Yeah.
And then it's just vulgar.
Yes.
It sounds too vulgar to me to even like say, and even like there's terms of endearments in that other way, like it's hard to even talk about.
Yeah.
See, it's like the way in English I would be like, okay, this when you're like the sweet nothings, doesn't sound right in Armenian to me.
Really? See, that's one domain.
I mean, I could say kyank. I could say stuff like that. That's great. But then when it comes to like sexual, I can't.
Yeah.
This whole sexual thing doesn't work with Armenian for me.
I can't tell you how many times I've talked about this on this podcast, like domains where Armenian is okay and it's not
Armenian's
okay.
not okay.
Like family love, like motherhood for me.
Wonder all Armenian.
Kyankas, anushes, kaktsırız, tavet, butem, da-da-da.
Yeah.
But then romantic love?
Better word.
Yeah.
Romance
no, sexual too. It's just like
it just doesn't work.
Armenians we have sex, but we don't talk about sex.
How do you say I love you with your kids in Armenian? You can't. It doesn't work. My parents never said I love you. They never did that. They never said "Sirumem kids shot." You don't say that. You don't announce the fact that you love your kids. Me and my kids, bye and hello is like, I love you. I love you, baby. Good night, sweetheart. I love you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, be safe at school. Love you guys. Now taking them to school. Love you. It's been a thing. I think I brought it into my family. I was the first person to start saying it to my parents, and they start after a while. They start saying it back to me. Yeah.
Same.
The whole I love you thing doesn't exist for Armenians.
Forget I love you.
Yeah.
I don't think my mom ever said John to me.
John.
My entire
there's
childhood.
a lot of John now. John is a big word now. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how she learned to say it? It's because watching me say it to my kids, kyankas, anushes, and then my mom started saying it to my kids, and I said, "Hey, what about me?
What about me? How come you never said it to me?
How come I never got it, John?"
No, we never got that. It just didn't exist. Like so, there's certain things that don't exist in Armenian, and there's certain things that in Armenian you just feel wonderful saying.
I don't think it's that it doesn't exist in Armenian. It's that we're not used to
saying it.
Yeah, exactly. To the kind of pattern of it or the habit. We don't
That's
have
what
the
I meant.
habit of it.
That's
right?
what I meant. Doesn't exist. I'm sure it exists.
Yeah.
But I don't know them either. Like, how do you casually say I love you? Isn't said like a deep said? Like said unem ko hamar like I can't do that, you know. It doesn't work. You just you can't do that, you know. Like, come here and give me a kiss. How easy is that?
Yeah.
Come on, Mom, I'll give you a kiss, baby.
Yeah.
Like easy, right? It doesn't work.
But even your body language,
like everything changes, right?
Like that's so
everything
interesting.
does change.
But then
if I'm like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Let's say romantic, even.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I don't think she responds to it. She's like, hey, like if I
That's
just
strange.
slip into an Armenian language, she's like, hey, relax there. It doesn't, it's no, that kills things. Ice cold, all of a sudden, things, hey, baby. You know, I try to pull words now that bring the vibe back. I can kill a vibe by speaking Armenian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so in what domains is Armenian proper for you? So family, toast.
Yeah, toast is good. With your friends, with your male friends. Male friends love is good.
Okay, so
said. That's fine. But you don't still say I love you to your homie, you know?
No.
You don't say that. We say it now in English to I have a lot of friends. We hang up and say I love you to each other, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we say that. I'm okay with that. I'm at an age where
you'd never be like kiss.
No, you could say that.
Yeah,
Okay. Calling people your life is very easy to say in Armenian.
Yeah.
Like, you're my life.
Yeah.
That's like,
And that's
flows off
big.
it's huge.
That's big.
Flows off your tongue.
Yeah.
But the easy thing of I like you or I love you doesn't exist. It's crazy. It exists, but it just doesn't exist in naturally to just flow out of your tongue.
But
your mouth.
okay, I know from observing your parents, they are the sweetest, most affectionate couple I've ever met. You grew up with that kind of affection between these two Armenian adults that most of us, or maybe they didn't show it to you
know
guys.
More than me on that. Yeah, they didn't. They were not like that around us.
But do they say sweet nothings to each other in Armenian?
No, they yell at each other, and that's the sweet nothings I hear. Not in a negative, like bad way. Everything's a yelling in my house. Like they're very loud. You know, which is like I said, the one thing me and my wife have that's a hurdle is my tone. It's always about the tone. And I think because I'm Armenian, my tone is a little off in English, and I might seem aggressive when I'm not at all aggressive. Like, I'm calm as hell, but then I might seem very aggressive. Now I got to explain myself out of that aggression, like out of someone thinking that of me. So,
well, a lot of non-Armenians will say when they hear a group of Armenians speaking, they think they're fighting when it's just like, regular,
talking.
Discussing life.
It's funny you say that. This happened recently. We were going to have a meeting at one of the big offices, and we were waiting for some people. We were outside and we were discussing something, and we were passionately discussing it. And then this guy comes out, he goes, I knew there was Armenians outside because you guys were speaking in caps. And that's where I got the thing I told you.
Speaking in
caps thing. I was like, That's hilarious. I had never put that together.
Yeah.
You know, that's great. We speak in caps.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Final question. Has there ever been a situation where you felt anxious about speaking Armenian?
Constantly. I still do. I'm always, that's the major situation. It's not, if I have to do it and I have to stick to it and I can't switch it up, sometimes it's nerve-wracking. I mean, what if if you don't know something, you might stammer and stuff. I've always had a thing with that. Like, I want to speak clearly. So it's just the only thing.
Yeah.
I'm not really, not tough, like I'm awkward, but it's always there. But I still do it. I blast. I remember one time we got an award and I gave my whole acceptance speech in Armenian. And I screwed everybody up with it. I was like, what is this guy? But I did it. It was like something special that happened at that moment. And the Armenians stood up and applauded. It was about the genocide. We received an award, the Freedom Award for something, because we had, I guess, bringing the awareness. It was years ago. And I started speaking in English, and I pulled back and I went in Armenian, and it was the best thing I could have done, but it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not always, but anytime I have to, there's always a back thought of make sure you don't sound stupid, because Armenians always pay attention to your grammar and stuff. I know how Armenians are so critical, the old school Armenians. I'm not talking about the kids nowadays. They're critical on it. So if I'm not 100% with something, I'm aware that I have to speak a certain way, and so because I like to speak without thinking of what I'm saying, and it just come out. And that's what I do best, is.
And your personality,
comes out. But if I have to think and pick and choose words, I don't do that well. I'm not good scripted. That's another thing.
Is there an Eastern-Western difference for you? Is it a different Shavo who speaks Hayastansi versus who speaks Western?
People trip out sometimes when they know me as a Hayastansi, but then I'll speak out of Mudahayar, the Western, and they'll be like, where is this guy from?
Yeah.
I'll speak it so well, And people thought I was Barskahai, a lot of them. Because when I'm with my wife's family and I'm speaking Armenian, I sometimes tend to use the Barskahai slang.
Yeah.
And then
even the way you say Barskahai.
Barskahai. When the first time someone asked me if my kef was love, I thought it was a romantic sexual comment. I was like, hey, I'm too young for this. It was a friend at school. She was having a party, and I called to find out. And it was nerve-wracking calling her. And the mom's like, hey, kef lava. I go, wait a second, what did she just ask me? Like, kef. Like, But so I use that sometimes.
Yeah.
And, And then when I'm speaking, I think I'm most comfortable with the Aravela Hayat and, like, deep, like, talking to another Hayastansi, like, tuned khosumenk.
Yeah. Like intense,
intense conversation using those, like, which saying the macho-ness comes out in Aravela Hayat. I feel like Aravela Hayat is less macho. That's the thing.
Oh my God!
Right?
I wish everyone could see your body language right now.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Love and mother.
First of all, I'm so grateful for your time, for you making time to do this, but also just how fun this conversation
was. Yeah, it was really good. It was way better than way more entertaining and than I expected. And here we are. Bonding and having a good time.
As parents.
I hope it came off the way we are feeling it.
I think it did. It's interesting because we share this kind of the status of immigrant children and now parents in our own right. And I think that transition and that reflection and awareness, it's so nice to get to share that with someone where there's so much shared background.
We're both, they say the American dream. Like, literally what that means is what we both have accomplished, pretty much, in different aspects, different ways. You're doing it, you're a PhD. I'm doing it, I'm a freaking rock star. It's weird, right? But we're bonding. Look how we're bonding, right?
Yeah.
Who would have thought,
Yeah.
But it's because we share something and we both overcame all the obstacles that were laid in front of us. And we're still overcoming. It's not over. We're overcoming every day.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of this, overcoming things. And jumping over hurdles without getting tired.
Yes.
It's that you can get tired with hurdles, with things happening, you can get frustrated and quit. we haven't quit. I could tell you haven't, and you know I haven't, and
No.
I'm not going to. You know?
Okay, my next goal is to be a rock star.
There it is. I'm gonna be a PhD. How's that for you? Let's go.
Done.
Give me some
Okay.
books to read.
Done.
I'm gonna write a big PhD.
Հազար շնորհակալություն.
Շնորհակալ եմ.
Merci.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Language Therapy with Dr. Shushan Karapetian, a podcast series from the USC Institute of Armenian Studies. This episode was produced by the Institute staff, edited by Shavo Odadjian, who also composed the original music. For more from the USC Institute of Armenian Studies, visit the Institute's website at armenian.usc.edu and follow the Institute on all social media platforms.